Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hey there. Hello. Welcome. Blah, blah, blah.
Good morning, my
Good morning. And it's Mr. Sokolowski. And I hadn't really noticed your shirt. Very nice.
A purple plaid shirt, which any farmer would be embarrassed to wear.
Yeah. But
the cows might like it.
But it's more of a rustic look for you. I mean,
well, plaid is in, my dear. Didn't you know?
No, I don't know.
Plaids are just pululating all over the place.
Pululating?
Pululating, like popping up all over the place.
So how's that spelled?
Well, some people say pullulating, but the British say pululating.
But pululating, but how's that
P-U-L-L-U-L-A-T-E-I-N-G.
P-U-L-L-U.
Yes.
Pululating. Oh, because it sounded like you were just... I didn't hear the L's.
Okay.
Pululating is what you said.
Pululating.
That is hard to say. I mean,
say it when you've had two Mai Tais.
To get from... See, whatever is going on in your mouth when you say ooh...
That's right. I mean, it's a different...
Ooh, to get to the L...
That's right, yeah.
...requires some serious gymnastics.
Well, that's very funny, because on that, have you noticed how certain kinds of words... like we always say, like flat lice for the Japanese or Chinese, but certain kind of word grouping, because in their native language, that those kind of mixtures never happen.
Can't do it.
And they can't do it.
Just can't do it.
Well,
ever since I told my son the story of my French teacher in 7th grade screaming at me, he calls me this all the time now. My French teacher was from Hong Kong, Mr. Fan.
And he taught French. He
taught French, but I gotta tell you, my sense is, since he couldn't speak English worth a damn, is that we were learning French
with a Chinese
accent. And my name at the time was Lynn Miller.
Okay.
And he was just such an idiot, and I was paying no attention and staring out the window at the afternoon. It was beautiful, and I didn't hear him as he attempted to get my attention, which he did thusly. That's why I didn't pay any attention, because I didn't recognize it was my name. Rinmer! Rinmer!
That was Miller?
That was Lynn Miller.
Oh.
Couldn't do L's.
Yeah,
they came out ours. Rinmer.
Well, can you remember how he had you pronounce certain French
No, I
words?
can't.
I mean, that would probably be hilarious. That would be like one of those satirists who do a language thing.
Well, I have never learned to do
Parlez-vous français?
I've never learned how to do a French R.
Oh, okay.
To me, it's something you do, but you gargle. You go like...
Well, it's a tongue roll.
Oh, I can do that. That's not what it is.
Well, français.
Look at it.
Well, you don't do that long.
Okay, français. That's not it. That's not the R. It's in the back of your throat, the French R. Français. It's back here. Like français. It's not your tongue. It's your glottis. Your
epiglottis.
Does anyone agree with me on that? That's why I can't do it. I can't.
Français.
I can't find the part of my...
It's a combination. It's not all.
Because if it was that, I could do it in a minute. You would say roux. First.
Well, maybe you are right. I'm trying
so
to
it's
think.
not up there.
Yeah,
it's not roux.
Yeah. You're right. Right. Stand corrected.
Okay, so that's why I can't do French.
Lou.
Be Lou. Pissoir.
That must have been hilarious. I would love to see you then go to the next level of French. Who the hell taught you how to speak French that way?
Well, I took French many times in my life and have never been able to do it. I can still do. I remember driving another French teacher nuts. You had those labs in high school. Do you remember that? You'd
Language
sit there
labs,
with
yeah.
You'd sit in your little cubicle with your thing on, and you'd repeat after them or something. And I can't remember what I was doing, but I got this guy all flustered and very upset because I think I was toying with whatever it was. But I still remember don't you guys? Do you remember
some of those?
Okay, so do one. What language were you? French? Or
French, well, Latin, so there wasn't,
oh, my God.
But I always remember when I went to Japan, chawanmushi, it has egg in it. And I remember about the only thing I hate in Japanese food, because I love Japanese food, it's this egg custard that has the chicken feet sticking off the top of it.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, chawanmushi. And it was this, chawanmushi, it has egg in it.
And they put the feet of the...
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like a French tickler, if you will.
Oh, my God. No,
Well,
here's what I remember. Où est la bibliothèque? C'est tout droit. Tu y vas tout de suite. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't hear the L's.
Où est la bibliothèque?
Yeah, right.
C'est tout droit. Tu y vas tout de suite. Do you want to go there? Are you going
Right
there
away,
now?
yeah.
And then I don't remember what I said to that. Bien sûr. And then another one. Oh, this is my favorite. Un pneu crevé, c'est facile à réparer. Un pneu crevé, c'est facile à réparer. Do you get it? It's a flat tire?
Yeah, right.
That's easy to fix.
If you are a mechanic.
Yeah.
Not for an anesthesiast or whatever.
Why would they teach you where's the library rather than like where's the bathroom?
Well, that's very funny you mentioned.
Important phrase.
It's very funny you mentioned that. I remember when I took Japanese for about 6 weeks. It was these intensive things every Saturday for 4 hours. And I, would be working during the week because I was going to Japan to do this project. And then I just couldn't. I dropped it. But I remember what was very interesting. Whereas all the other languages, even Latin, it would be sort of where is the village, there is my house,
Right.
In Japanese,
What are those feet doing in my custard?
my chawanmushi. No, but it was interesting in Japanese, it was words like, where is the bullet train? And the adjectives were things like efficient, clean, speedy, not like good, nice.
Isn't that interesting?
It was very interesting. I thought. Now, granted, this was probably a book that came much later than what we learned in our languages in high school and early college. But I just thought it was very interesting. Words that were thought to be of importance to that culture.
And those do sound like the words you would expect.
Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting.
Huh. Excuse me for
Shikansen. I just remember that's the word for bullet train.
What is it?
Shikansen.
Oh, I could remember that because it's like Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Right.
I want the Wisconsin at 146.
When's the Wisconsin coming in? Okay, I got it. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Well,
language is one of the topics of our program today.
Apparently, we had no intention of that happening. Although, actually, look at that.
I saw that.
No, because language interests me, and Tom seems to be interested. We haven't said boo about the big story at Pitt, but we will. Mm-hmm. Boo.
Boo, too.
Yeah, right. I mean, what can we say except why?
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
It is so bizarre, but I'm sure eventually we will find
Get
out.
to it.
Yeah,
and we'll find out, right.
Right. So Tom Sokolowski is my guest in case you're just happening upon this program. And
think who are those nuts?
Well, we are.
Going on about
Tom joins us every
minutiae of language and Hong Kongese French teachers.
His expertise is art. Art.
Said with such.
What is art in French?
L'art.
Oh, it is. The art. Yeah.
Kunst in German. Arte in Italian.
Art. L'art.
L'art with an L apostrophe.
And do you pronounce the T?
Well, it's that sort of soft.
Yeah, you really don't.
No, it's like arte in Italian or Spanish or, la.
What's that about? They don't finish.
a tip tongue. That's something Charro, remember her?
Oh, yeah.
Who's now about like 195. I saw her on something on TV within the last 6 months.
Who was she married to?
Xavier Cugat.
Good, that's true. Hey,
But she looked exactly the same.
Sure.
Like huge bosoms, huge like watermelons, and hair the size of Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And her face looked pretty, obviously.
Well.
No, but it didn't look so, Botoxed or whatever, as so many of those types. But she was also interesting. I don't know if any of your listeners knew, she would come on and she'd say, I go to my husband, Xavier, and I say, brrr, and she'd shake her breasts, and he liked me. But it turned out, and she spoke in this pidgin Spanish, Spanglish, which was not true. She speaks perfect English. But that she was a renowned, before she became this coochie mama, renowned classical guitarist.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Charro?
Oh, yeah. And she played a few times, I remember years ago, Jack Parr and some of these others. Oh, she was fantastic.
Huh.
But she was just so crazy.
But of course, she wouldn't have become famous by
being a classical guitarist.
But by going,
I said to sit. Yeah, right. She was hilarious. I'm sure she's still alive. She'll be coochieing until her deathbed.
So yesterday on Jeopardy, none of them got the final Jeopardy question right, and I did.
Oh, what was it?
And I want to ask if you might know.
Maybe.
Okay. Who were the last two sisters to both be nominated for Best Actress in the same year? In other words, two sisters nominated.
Let's see. Boom. I can't remember her name, but it was the woman who appeared. I can't remember her name now. Who was in Rebecca?
Yes.
Yeah. What's
you
her
got
name?
one.
And her sister was.
Although you wouldn't win, you got her. But
Yeah. I name her name. Yeah, I can see her face. I can't think of her name.
Okay, so one was in Rebecca.
And tell me another movie, then maybe I'll.
Gone with Wind.
Really? She wasn't Vivian Lee's sister, was she?
It isn't Vivian Lee.
Oh, Celeste Holm? No.
No. So here, the reason I thought of it is because one of the people had put down Ava and Zsa Zsa Gabor. Is that what you would have thought? Oh, there's a caller? Oh, I thought
maybe it's Ava.
Oh, somebody's got it. Hello.
Hi, Lynn. This is Kristen from Greensburg. I called you last week.
Yes.
I was the one who was at MoMA.
Yes.
Hi. I wanted to call with regard to your conversation yesterday about Jim Roddy having used the word retard.
Retard, right.
The accepted terminology in the field is actually INDD. It's for people with but I usually just say people with disabilities. But it's intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Oh, so that's what. Wait, intellectual and developmental disabilities. All right, but you do understand what I just sort of get annoyed. It's like when housewives became domestic engineers and
totally. Yeah,
garbage men became sanitation workers and
because also I think there are terms that are indeed derogatory.
But there wasn't. It was purely descriptive.
And then, like to go back to the brace. To say nigger, the N word, was always horrible. But Negro, let's say, was the affected, and then we changed to Afro-American, then African-American. Those are terms that you might say are all very politically correct. But calling, someone retarded as opposed to retard. There's subtleties of language where one is a derogation and the other is
retard's a derogatory, but retarded is to me is not. It's I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
I give it up,
strange.
though.
Like people, they used to call them morons.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
and then that, like, you know, and idiots and stuff.
Right.
Now, for me, it was really strange to hear, like, it hurt my feelings to hear a politician use that word because in the fall, I was the art instructor for an agency, and then I got laid off due to Corbett's budget cuts.
Yeah.
The day after my grandma's funeral.
Oh, wow.
And
Gotcha.
I loved my job.
Aw.
And, you know, and it's like I finished my master's in art therapy, and I chose to go into this field to work with the most vulnerable population instead of getting something with licensure, you know, like kind of out of my patriotic duty because I wanted to work with the most vulnerable people. And then because of this guy's budget cuts, you know, my agency had a $1.6 million deficit, and I was one of 19 people that got laid off. And, you know, so, like, to hear a politician, like one of these Republican guys just say, you know, use that as an insult after, like, you know, a lot of people really, really cried when I got laid off because they lost their art lady,
Sure.
you know? And like, I worked at 4 different facilities at this agency, and, like, they love me, and I love them, and, you know.
Well, I'm so, you know what? Okay, so you got many a reason to have reacted negatively. I'm so sorry that you lost that job, and that sounds like the kind of
No.
it's the first thing to go. Oh,
Right.
art. Oh, you know,
Exactly.
mental disability. What's a out you go, and it's just really unfortunate. Hey, thank you. I hope. Who knows? You get
Better
that job
days.
back sometime
Well,
soon.
right now. I'm trying. Like, there's not many people who want a full-time art lady.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to go around to nursing homes and, you know, become like the art lady.
Uh-huh.
Good for you.
And like, I actually went to the nursing home that took care of my grandma before she passed. Like my mom died when I was 19 months old, so my grandma helped to raise me with my dad, and you know, they had me do a little art group, so I'm trying to, like, make a full-time job out of many part-time places.
Well, good for you. Good for you for scrambling. and
you.
you know, good
All
luck.
right, take
Good
care,
luck.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh. Yeah. Okay. The 2 sisters. So the one guy said Zsa Zsa and Ava Gabor, which I thought was a riot because how either of them would ever have been nominated for
That's right.
Best Actress Academy Award is ludicrous. And I was wondering if it was like, you go all the way back to like Lillian Gish and her.
Oh,
you
yeah.
remember? What was her sister's name? Those were
Lillian and
who knows? There were 2 Gish girls.
and weren't they in something like their movie, something like Daughters of the Wind or something?
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that?
they were the earliest movies. But then I realized who it was, and these are sisters.
And they hate one another too. I
They
remember that.
hate one another. Joan Fontaine
That's right.
and Olivia de Havilland. Olivia de Havilland played the sweet, what's her name?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I can remember her name.
Melanie?
Melanie.
Melanie.
I think.
In Gone with the
That's
Wind.
right. Olivia de Havilland.
Joan Fontaine and Olivia de Havilland were sisters.
And also, I think afterwards from that movie, Olivia de Havilland had the greater career, I think.
I don't
The
know
more
about
serious
that.
actress.
Do you think?
Joan Fontaine was always sort of a
I don't know.
frowsy kind of. No?
I don't agree with that at
Really?
all. No.
Now I wonder. I mean, I think are they both still alive? Both dead? I don't know.
I think I don't know. I want to say Fontaine's dead and de Havilland's alive, but I think maybe she's dead now too.
Olivia de Havilland, I always remember, would always be on these Hallmark Hall of Fame Christmas stories, and she'd always play, the benevolent and crotchety grandmother. or
Who,
something.
Olivia?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
lived, I know, certainly to be quite elderly if she's not dead now. But
When I was in acting school, one of my fellow students was Fontaine's daughter.
oh,
And she's the one I did not know. I mean, that's how I sort of know
Put it
they're
together,
sisters.
right.
I remember her telling me how they hated each other's guts. And it was some stupid, petty little thing.
Well, I'm sure it's probably competition, too. Who was going higher on the food chain through their most, productive years. Mm-hmm. Because their heyday would have been the 50s, I think, or late 40s.
40s.
Really, so it's quite a few years ago. Oh, yeah, you think 40s.
But if you were to look at the filmographies of those two, there's some huge films. They were all over the place. Good actresses. Mm-hmm. Damn fine actresses.
I could hear that being said at the Duquesne Club.
Yeah,
damn fine. Give me some more crab Hetzel.
Okay, as to what this program is about, don't ask us. Okay, do you want me to try some of that? I'm going to take a break first.
All right, take a break.
I pulled this off my tweets today, and it's from the Dictionary of American Slang, and that'd be a fun book. Anyway, I am going to give you some of these slang terms.
And I have to tell you what they mean, or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, I've looked at them all. I know maybe 3.
And these are all, American, and some are British?
Yeah.
Well, some are we're going to take a break, but some are so very regional.
Dictionary of American Slang.
Right. Some are so regional.
There's that regional dictionary that also exists, but this is just slang.
I just read one thing that we go to break was one time when I was in high school.
Which itself is an interesting word, by the way.
And this Catholic brothers who ran the school, they came from Boston area, and it was the first school they had in the Midwest. And I remember we had to walk on one side of the aisle. It was like traffic during class classes. And the one kid stopped to take a drink of water, and this brother said, "Get away from that bubbler." And I never heard.
That's what I say.
Oh, really? I'd never heard that term in the Midwest. It was always, water. I never heard bubbler.
No, bubbler is what.
We all sort of looked like, what are you talking about?
And you're saying Boston because bubbler, as far as we know, bubbler. I'm from Green Bay. That's what we called them.
Huh, interesting.
And I never have ever encountered another person other than Green Bay.
Well, go to
bubbler.
Boston.
Are you sure that guy wasn't from Green Bay?
No.
Okay.
No. So maybe it's like the what do you call those people? Eskimos came from somewhere in Australia.
No, well, you know why?
In 75 million years ago.
There weren't a lot of water. The water fountain I remember and that I just loved because I thought it was so beautiful was in the movie theater.
Oh, okay.
These grand old theaters, and it was like this huge niche in the wall, and it was
marble.
like marble and stuff. And there in the middle
was this bubbler.
It bubbled out. Well, stop and think. It just sort of like a little. It was just like a
fountain, really.
Like a fountain.
Now, one thing. What was the name of the theater? Did they have some name like Alhambra?
No. It was simply the Bay Theater.
Because so many of those I remember in Chicago were like the Oriental, the Alhambra. And then the inside would be mush because there were all these vaudevillian theaters during the Depression, and they wanted people. I remember
to feel like they were in a grand place. No, this is where, as a kid, you'd just get dropped off there on Saturday morning and you'd stay all day. And the place was total kids, screaming, mimi kids watching cowboys and cartoons.
And Joe Blondell.
Not Joe Blondell. I remember the guy who owned the theater. He'd get up on the stage before it and scream at everybody.
You little brats!
I don't want anybody. They're just like unbelievably funny. And then, sometimes during the film, he'd come back and scream some more.
Did they still, some of those, since they were vaudevillian and then, originally silent movie theaters, did they have a great pipe organ?
I don't remember a pipe organ
maybe
there.
Not. Some
but I'm sure there was one. But okay, we should take a break, and then we'll come back with the Dictionary of American Slang.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Laser Hair and Skin Center has been providing professional, affordable services for over 10 years. Now they're proud to exclusively offer RegenLite acne treatment. RegenLite is an FDA-approved, non-invasive drug, chemical, and pain-free treatment of all grades of acne. With RegenLite, you will experience a 50% improvement in less than 2 weeks, with lasting improvement for up to 12 weeks. Call the Laser Hair and Skin Center today at 412-373-1700 and receive $100 off your first session. Or go to mylaserhair.com for more information and to see their full line of services. The Laser Hair and Skin Center.
Pittsburgh City Paper is now available on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com to read this week's digital issue or search for restaurants, bars, concerts, events, and movies on any portable device. Plus blogs, Lynn Cullen, City Guide, CPTV, and Best of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Saving energy saves you money. Whether you switch to Energy Star light bulbs, install Energy Star windows, or add extra insulation. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Okie doke, we are back and assiduously avoiding all conversation about things in the news. Well,
that's depressing and awful.
Yeah, I mean, who needs it? So, Dictionary of American Slang. Here we go.
Yeah. Start me with an easy one. Let's roll into this or ease into this.
There aren't any.
Okay, all right, fine.
Oh, here's the one. Here's one that I certainly knew, and I think you would too. On a toot.
On a toot.
She's on a toot.
Oh, like someone's angry or like having a fit, or no, I don't know.
It has to do with drink. On a bender.
Oh, I see. I didn't heard that one, huh?
Oh God, you're not gonna give someone the wind.
To drive past them quickly? I don't know.
No, to get rid of it is to stop end a relationship.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Now, do they say where these?
No.
Oh, okay.
Cluck and grunt.
Our program.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Cluck. Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little. Cheep, cheep, cheep. Cluck and grunt. Okay, let's say you're in a diner and you order something and the waitress turns around and screams at cluck and grunt.
Cluck. So it'd have to be chicken and grunt. I have no idea.
No.
Eggs and bacon?
Yes, eggs and ham.
Eggs and ham. I don't think waitresses do that anymore. That was a very, like what was that? Put them on a rack and spit on them, or some of those things. There was a Lucille Ball episode about that. I've never heard a waitress say that in years and years.
No.
Because it's a very, certain periods of language. I think the 40s had lots of sort of these kinds of slangy things, and I don't think. Well, no, maybe that's not true. I mean. Maybe I'm just
my grandparents always had these things, they said, and my mother then picked them up, and I have some. There was a richer kind of.
Well, now, do you know on this? I remember my mother first said this, or first time I noticed her saying it. Shanks mare.
Oh. Yes, it rings a bell, but what?
Well, it would be like when you were, and I guess at this time particularly, when there weren't so many cars during the Depression, I'm going by Shanks mare. I'm going to walk there. But I haven't heard anyone say that in years. Shanks mare.
That rings a bell, but I don't know that I knew it. Hey, here's one that I think is onomatopoeic that sounds like what it is, even though it's a verb. Gazoozle. Okay.
To drink noisily? I don't know.
I guess it's not onomatopoeic. To cheat.
Zoozle.
Like I'm thinking bamboozle.
Oh, I see.
Okay, gazoozle, bamboozle. He gazoozled it.
Well, it makes sense once you've said it that way, but I don't know. I wouldn't have read it from.
Okay. George Eddy, like a name. George Eddy. And this had come from the waitresses again.
A transgendered person, I don't know.
A customer who doesn't tip is a George Eddy.
Oh.
And who knows, maybe where would that come from?
Was maybe.
Dog robber. This one doesn't make any sense at all.
Going out with an ugly woman.
A baseball umpire.
A dog robber. Weird.
Happy cabbage.
No.
Yes. Cabbage. Think of cabbage as a slang for...
Money?
Yes. Happy cabbage.
A win?
No, it's like mad money. It's
money. Okay.
Happy cabbage is a lot of money to be spent on something you really, really want. Oh, that is so off the cob.
Stupid?
Corny.
Oh, all right. Now that one makes sense. Okay.
Are we sick of these?
Yeah. No, they just seem very dated, at least all of these. I mean, maybe they're not in certain parts of the country. I don't know, but they...
In the ketchup. What is ketchup? What color?
Red.
In the red.
Oh.
It's running a deficit
right.
In the ketchup.
Yeah.
That's what... Okay, I'll give you... just quickly. This one I like. Wet sock. It's a...
Something that smells?
It's a limp handshake.
Oh, I see. Wet sock. Oh, God, I've never heard that one. We'd say limp wrist, wouldn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, forget it. Butter and egg man.
Oh, that one I've heard. Oh, what does that mean? A grocer?
No. It's a lot more complicated than that.
Oh, dear. Okay.
It's sort of a Babbitt. A butter and egg man it says here is a wealthy, unsophisticated, small town businessman who tries to become a playboy when visiting a large city.
That's quite specific. That sort of has something to do with how do you keep them down on the farm after they've seen Paris.
And here's another one you would never know, and then
no.
I'll stop. Thank you. A lobbygow.
Lobbygow. I have no idea.
Someone who loafs around an opium den in hopes of being offered a free pipe.
Well, I would think Gao.
Gao sounds
like a Chinese word. It's G-O-W, yes?
Yeah, G-O-W.
I bet it, what do you call it? I bet that part is Chinese. Just like, the other ones I find very interesting are words that we now have in our language that came from foreign languages like, well, of course, pile mode, like kowtowing. That the ancient...
to kowtow
meant that
would
you
be...
basically had to put your head on the ground in front of the emperor or something.
Yeah.
And now it means, someone who's sort of so obsequious. That
exactly, but who kowtows.
Kowtow was actually a kowtow. Things you find in Chinese cooking. Now, on the same sort of partly ridiculous note, but not really ridiculous, did you see, my dear, in the Times...
Oh, I guess I did, and then I didn't read it.
Non-surgical circumcision device will be tested to help curb AIDS in Africa. And some of your listeners may remember that various international medical boards have found that, they've tried to use condoms with people in Africa to prevent transmission of HIV disease.
And that's not going well.
And that isn't going so well just because of traditions in those countries. Mm-hmm. And they've been doing a number of circumcisions on adult males because they find that can, again, because foreskin tends to contain, will keep the microbes, whatever, where a circumcised genital doesn't. And now, rather than having these doctors go everywhere and there's a limited amount of money, there'll be these devices that basically you can put on the foreskin like you put on the umbilical cord of a baby. You tie it off, and after a number of days,
it drops
because of blood circulation, and it's not particularly painful. And these devices cost like a penny.
So it's just a little ring that you put...
we won't go into great detail of how they do it, but I thought that was really very interesting. Something that, for a cost of nothing. It's almost like one of those bottle caps you pull off.
Wow, no surgeon is needed.
No.
Oh, you can't do it yourself.
You have to have someone who needs to know what they're doing.
slide a grooved ring inside the foreskin.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And then somebody on the other side, the two.
And the guy's the rubber band to compress it in the groove. After a week, it be dead, and it falls off.
Now, my question following this is, I think it's a marvelous thing. Where would this stand in terms of the Catholic Church's brilliant positions on anything to do down under?
I don't know.
But, it's really brilliant because it's a way of saving people's lives. And if anyone would be against it, you'd want to hit them or put that around their neck.
Exactly
be
right.
Dead after. Now, another thing in terms of weirdnesses I picked out, although this is really grotesque. The other one is maybe Baroque, but there was a piece in the local paper that 26 major firms, businesses in this country, what these firms paid in taxes was less than the pay of their CEOs.
Disgusting.
And some of these were banks that received TARP money.
Oh, it's just so disgusting.
And, so they say, for example, just to give you a sense of the grandeur of this, the CEO of Citicorp, Vikram S. Pandit, was paid $14.9 million in 2011. That was more. They don't say what the tax was. And Robert H. Ben Moshe, of AGI, that wonderful company, was paid $14 million.
And they, no matter what, they were paid more than they paid the country in taxes.
And this is at a moment, when there was both in terms of Congress and the president, and I think certainly the groundswell in the nation of saying, when we're doing these not just salaries, but then what do you call those things that you get at the beginning of the year?
Bonuses?
Bonuses. And they've come back with a vengeance. I've read many articles about that. So it's just, again, this 1% business. It's just grotesque.
It is. It's absolutely indefensible.
Indefensible.
But then I thought the voter ID law was indefensible.
Well, exactly.
Unbelievable. Okay, so I wanted to...
from foreskins to jerks to...
dicks!
To dicks!
Excuse us if we're offending anybody, but that was how, that made perfect sense. I just wanted to warn you, since you think so much of the public art here is so hideous, that it says here, giant steelworker sculptures coming.
Okay.
To Pittsburgh. Giant sculptures, God knows how big, depicting steelworkers and made from steel beams from a bridge will soon loom over the south side. Which was home to many of the city's steel mills. Right. The sculptures, collectively known as the Workers, will be placed in Riverfront Park. The city of Pittsburgh and the Heinz Endowments commissioned the project more than a decade ago. It says...
Who's the artist, does it say?
I don't know, and they say it's 3 times as long... No. Oh, I say, commissioned it more than a decade ago. That's about 3 times as long as it took Michelangelo to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Ha, ha, ha. No, they don't say anything.
That's bizarre.
Very.
It's as if you're going to talk about the sculpture, whether it's going to be good or bad. I'm sure it's going to be bad.
Who did it?
Yeah, that's a...
This is Pop City Media reporting.
Oh, dear. Well, the interesting thing about that is, there was the tradition of, at the Point, there was supposedly this hunky statue.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Hunky, it was called the hunky statue.
Well, that was during one of the arts festivals.
No. I was getting to that. Okay. No, this was back in the 40s or something when the Point was, riddled with barge things and that. And at that point, hunky was, at least as I understand it, a sort of charming term.
It didn't have the...
It wasn't like...
Well,
yeah, totally disparaging. And this was a guy, and I think it was specifically, if I'm not mistaken, it was either called the hunky statue or it was thought to be this mythical guy, Joe Mazarak, who was the mythical worker.
Right.
And then at a more recent, this was before my time, but I think maybe like 18 years ago, a Latino artist from, I don't know if he was Mexican or Mexican-American, named, I think his name was Gonzalez Martinez, I can't remember, did this huge fiberglass hunky statue. And then when maybe political correctness was more in sway, it caused a huge to-do, and I think it was taken down, but I can't remember.
No, right. But
that was a temporary thing for the Three Rivers Arts Festival.
Yeah, you see that political correctness. Sometimes I'm for it, and sometimes I just get so annoyed. And so I understand when people get annoyed at the ones that I'm for. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You just get to the point where.
Well, I think, but there's a point.
Here's one where I'm always laughing.
Yes.
The lesbian, gay, transsexual.
Oh, right. That's gotten so ridiculous.
It has gotten so out of hand that, like, and now what is it? I mean, I can't
last
even,
one I saw
the LBGT XYZ.
Well, LGBT, but sometimes they put GLBT, whatever. But then now there's a Q, so I don't know if you have all those things queer. I mean, what are all, because
Let's just cut back to the chase, queer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, there was a part of that whole thing when people were saying,
own it. We've got to.
Well, own it. And
I agree. I like to own things. Okay. Hello.
Oh.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep.
It's PJ from Greensburg.
Hi, PJ.
Hey, I've seen those. I agree with Tom about our public art being so awful, but that seems to be the trend across the United States. I've seen those I-beam sculptures of the steelworkers.
Oh, you've seen those?
Yeah, I actually saw them. I wish I could give you a website, but I can't remember what it is. It's by the same group of guys that did the giant owl in the old steel mill.
The giant
over in Homestead.
Owl?
Yeah, they did a giant. They would just show up there and do these kind of covert sculptures. And inside of one of the factory buildings, they did a giant owl hanging from the ceiling out of scrap material found on the site.
Were they local
matter of fact,
artists?
It's the same guys that, and there's one artist in particular that kind of heads up the group. He did a giant sculpture of a deer head, a buck head, a stag.
This is a local artist, BJ?
Pardon me?
This is a local artist, or?
Yeah, they are local. They're local. They I think they're the Industrial Arts Group or something like that is the name of them.
That doesn't ring a bell for me, but.
That stag head that they did at the Homestead Steel Plant is now part of the National Historic designation that it got.
Oh.
But those guys, they are the ones doing these giant I-beam steelworkers.
Yeah, it's an odd thing that this release they put out because it doesn't tell you anything. It just says
they're actually not too bad because they're not so literal.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And one other thing, if I can.
Sure.
Yeah.
About the hunky steelworker, the fiberglass one. What was his name? Was it Gonzalez?
I'm trying to remember. I should know because I know this company. He's done a lot of wonderful things in Texas, etc. But I can't remember his name. His
famous piece was kind of the Dayglow bronc rider, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The problem that I'm half Polish.
Oh, okay.
And the problem I had with the hunky steelworker sculpture at the one that all the uproar was about and they had removed, wasn't that it was called the hunky steelworker. I mean, I grew up in a family, we called ourselves hunkies.
Oh, really?
You called other people other
I always thought it was a specifically.
Slavs,
I'm sure you're right, but I think I always thought of it as because it was originally said for Hungarian. I mean, like Polak was for Polish, but I guess here it became sort of generic for Eastern European working class
that's
guys.
interesting, yeah, because it is. It really is. It was like the coal miners and the steelworkers were all just hunkies.
Yeah.
But the problem I had with this sculpture was that it was fiberglass. And not steel. And not cast in a foundry.
Yeah, that's very odd.
Well, but I mean, the thing was, and it was never meant to be permanent, number one. But also, I think, there's something about the notion that working in media or a medium that is of our times. Steel, I mean, people are still certainly making steel sculpture of all kinds, representational and abstract. But, fiberglass is a medium of our time, so why not use it? And it's not as impervious to the weather as steel is, but it's a lot cheaper. So that's, part of the reason.
Sure. That was my thing about it, though, is that you're going to call it the hunky steelworker and it's made of fiberglass.
Yeah, right.
I understand what you're saying completely about it. I mean, that is his medium. I think.
Yeah.
But
it's sort of ironic. I see what you're saying, or it's an oxymoron, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, guys.
Hey,
thank you so much, PJ.
Yeah.
Bye. Okay, let's take
2 calls today. My goodness.
Let's take a break, and then we'll come back and maybe talk a little bit about the news. Unless you can think of something better.
No. The news is replete with weird stuff.
It is, as always.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick break, and we'll be right back.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Howard Allen Events returns to Walnut Street in Shadyside. The 15th annual Shadyside, the art festival on Walnut Street, will be held August 25th and 26th, transforming this popular shopping district into an outdoor art gallery with an eclectic mix of the country's top established artists, as well as new and emerging talent. Admission is free and open to the public. Showtimes are Saturday 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sunday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, call 412-682-1298 or log on to www.artfestival.com.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and some of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. This week, get 40% off gift cards to the Manor Theater in Squirrel Hill. bergbargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. bergbargains.com. Get Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay, so I was looking up Joan Fontaine.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
Oh, look at her name was de Havilland. Their name was de Havilland. She was born Joan de Beauvoir de Havilland.
Well, and I bet you any money. I mean, obviously, actresses often take. I don't know what you call it. Nom de plume is obviously, but the same thing. But I bet it was to distinguish the two of them. Like, let's get the de Havilland broad for the parole.
I bet she always loved the fact that it always said she and her elder sister, Olivia, two of the last surviving leading ladies. So they're still both alive.
Yeah, because they what do you call those?
Okay, but no, they're still alive. Okay, wow. Look at this is just to make you see that Joan Fontaine was.
Which one? These are all Joan Fontaine.
These are all Joan Fontaine movies.
Okay.
Now Rebecca's the one you
famous,
knew.
Yeah. The Women, certainly.
And Suspicion is another. Suspicion. Those are both Hitchcock
Jane
movies.
Eyre.
Fisherman's
Creek was a. Letter from an Unknown Woman was a real tearjerker. Kiss the blood off my hands. I don't think that was, but
Born to be Bad. What the hell could that be?
Oh, that sounds some tawdry. I don't think that was always like Susan Hayward was always in those.
So
I'll Die Tomorrow.
Okay.
What were some of her later ones?
No, these are the later ones.
Well, no, I know.
And I never heard of any of them. So
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. I remember that.
So her biggies were the late 30s. And into the 40s. Right. Just in case anybody.
No, she was pretty active in the mid-50s.
Yeah, but those aren't great films.
Oh, well.
Right?
Yeah, true.
She was the prettier of the two, I think. And here's Olivia. And she won the Academy Award for Best Actress twice.
Oh, so she's like what?
And here too, it says she is the elder sister of actress.
That's fact. I mean,
she is.
So she would be 96 because she was born in 16.
Well, I think
born in Tokyo.
Yeah, they were both born in Tokyo, and her filmography is a lot more. In
Charge of the Light Brigade was a big film. Anthony Adverse was a very famous film.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Won Best Supporting Actress for that.
Hold Back the Dawn. That was a famous. About the war.
Academy Award Best Actress for To Each His Own in 1946.
Well, Snake Pit. That was a very famous movie. Was Snake Pit though? Wasn't that with what was her name?
She was nominated for Best Actress for that, and for The Heiress, she also was nominated.
My Cousin Rachel, that was a well-known.
Light in the Piazza.
Yeah.
She did a lot more. Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte.
Yeah.
Pope Joan, The Fifth Musketeer.
I remember when I paint. That's obviously about an elderly person.
Wow. Okay. So I'm sorry. I know you guys don't care, but I did. And
No.
I
It's interesting. It is interesting.
Okay.
But none of them, though, were the stars, let's say, that Bette Davis or no, I mean, when you look back, the great films of Bette Davis or Joan Crawford did. And those two hated one another, too. But
everybody hated Bette Davis.
Yes.
She was not.
Oh, here's the thing. In what film did she say, "What a dump"?
Was it all about Eve?
No.
What?
Oh, is this the one?
Dump. Yeah.
No. Oh, this is it?
Here's what he's thinking they are.
Well, those aren't too bad.
Industrial Arts Co-op.
But you know who did something like that? What's that artist's name? Tim something or other. Not Tim McVeigh. That's the guy who's a donor and whatever. But no, what? Oh, there's a guy, Tim Cullen. Yeah, I think Tim Collins, who did a piece similar to this. That was as you just came over. Oh, it's still there. As you just come over the bridge that's right next to the hot metal bridge in Corten Steel. You see it just as you come off the bridge. Yeah, near. I can't remember what that is.
On the south side.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying that's where these are going.
Well, unless he was involved. Does it say who this?
No.
It just says.
It don't say nothing.
It don't say nothing. Okay.
Okay. So it turns out the guy who was terrorizing Pitt was Adam Busby.
Ooh, that's a great name.
It's so odd.
It really is.
He's in a wheelchair. He has MS.
Oh, I didn't need that.
Yes. He's being held in jail right now because he was already there for some other thing he'd done.
Yeah.
He sounds like a disgruntled, screwed up fellow. But why the hell he did this to the University of Pittsburgh is odd. And then there's these two guys in Ohio who also were piggybacking on this in some way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't remember. Did he ever say? Because I remember when they made public some of the messages, he never really said what he was annoyed about. Now, maybe they didn't release a lot of that simply when they were trying to find him and didn't want to.
No, there was just nothing to it but this sort of...
watch out, we're going to bomb you or something.
Yeah. It was just to spread terror, to paralyze an institution.
Well, was that interesting, given that he himself is disabled?
Yeah, in a wheelchair.
Yeah, and the man maybe has reason, certainly, to be bitter, perhaps. Heaven knows how he got that way, but... he
has MS. That's how he got that way.
Okay, all right. One thing that we don't have a lot of time, but to talk about, just looking at this, it's Inside the Times today, but the headline is, with pick of Paul Ryan, campaign focus shifts from economy to ideology. And I just wondered what your thoughts were on that. Do you think...
Tim Cullen.
All right, yeah, that's right. What your thought was, if you think this is a smart move or...
I have no idea. And here's where it depends on what pundit I read last. No, I don't know. I don't know. I think more people think it will prove to not be a good pick.
Okay.
However, generally, what I'm hanging on to, generally, vice presidential picks don't really mean much of anything.
Unless they can, by their choice,
I think Palin truly hurt.
Well, because that's what she was, a blabbermouth. I mean, it wasn't as if
she was an idiot.
Well, she was that too, but I mean, if she had been a quiet dope, it probably wouldn't have made such an effect. I mean, I guess the point is, if you think, and they certainly, what was it in the first 2 days, they got $70 million more basically from Tea Party people. So the question is, if the Tea Party and the most ideologically conservative members of the Republican Party think that Romney is too much of a business, rich guy, etc., switcheroo.
Yeah, but so what? He still would be the president.
Well, I know, but some can still... No. And the thing is, obviously, they're not going to vote for Mr. Obama, but they could stay away from the... And you hear people saying those sorts of things. So a vote not voted is a vote that's not for. The other question becomes, on one level, one could say, had they gone with... another call? if they had gone with someone where they push the economic side, there Mr. Obama is somewhat vulnerable.
Well, I thought the reality is I thought they wanted to stay on the economy.
Well,
That's
right,
right.
Exactly.
And if the pick of Ryan has made it be about ideology, that's not good for them. Hey, hello.
Hello.
Hi. You're talking about Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
I saw on the internet today his 10 years in the Senate. He has put through 2 pieces of legislation. One was to rename a post office in Wisconsin, and the other one was to lower the tax on bows and arrows.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
First of all, not the Senate. He's in the House. He's in the House.
Hello?
But that's the 2 pieces of legislation he has gotten through in his career in the House.
Oh, my God, that's interesting.
He had a post office renamed in Wisconsin, and he had the tax lowered on bows and arrows.
That sounds like something on the late night show with Jimmy Kimmel or something.
Not that I'm saying I mistrust you, but I'd be surprised if that's true.
Do you know, sir?
Do you know where you got that?
It was on the internet. A talk show host in I think on WABC in New York. I'm trying to find it now. Said that. I don't know if it's true, but that's what they're saying.
Now, what did they say what was the name of the post office changed to?
No.
A person's name. I don't know who the name was. But
okay.
It was changed to a person's name, and I can't find it right now. But
okay.
All right.
That's what they are claiming. I don't know. It doesn't seem, that's all he's done in the time he's been in the House.
If that's true, I mean, it's pretty astonishing. But,
except the only thing is I would say if it's true, it's outrageously ridiculous, because those are 2 not very important things, and they're basically just for your constituents, probably. But the other part is, I mean, he certainly has, whether one agrees with him or not, spent a lot of time on his issues with respect to the economy. I mean, he certainly has labored hard there. So if he did that instead of passing legislation, but I mean, that's partly what. Here.
I just Googled it.
Okay.
Huffington Post is reporting that Paul Ryan only passed 2 bills into law in more than a decade.
Let's see if they say more than
so your
gentleman
caller, I'm sorry that I doubted you. I assume then that is correct. He's been in Congress for 13 years, but he's only seen 2 of his bills pass into law.
Les Aspin, was he at Wisconsin?
Les Aspin was thanks to Ryan, the post office on 1818 Milton Avenue in Janesville, Wisconsin, is now known as the Les Aspin Post Office Building. Les Aspin was a former congressman.
I see.
And the other bill is, change the way bows and arrows are excise tax.
Oh, bizarre.
The bill also includes points suitable for use with arrows in the 11% excise tax on arrow parts and accessories.
Who would have wanted
2 bills that have a tremendous effect on our lives.
Well, he likes to go bow hunting.
I mean, can you imagine someone coming to be a lobbyist? We got to put more money on that. It's just ridiculous.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
So, thank you. That's a good
You're
one.
welcome.
So much.
Thank you.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, I'm assuming then that's right.
Well, Huffington Post is pretty...
Yeah, I think they usually vet stuff pretty well. So...
Well, that sort of further goes to my question at the beginning of this, is this sort of, if he is such an ideologue, probably this idea of going after and people lobbying him for all these things, he's not interested. Another call? Oh my God, today is a booming.
Hello.
Hello, real quick, Lynn. And also, his wife is a Democrat. Can you believe that one?
Yeah, she is. She's a Democrat, and I know she doesn't want anything much to do with this whole thing.
Really?
Well, she has to show up with him at events, and he tried to pass the mic to her recently, and she just gave him a look like, go away from me. And it'll be something, when she's forced at the big moment at the Republican convention to stand there with him and Ann and Mitt with their arms raised.
Well, except the only thing there, I mean, you can be proud of your husband even if you don't agree with his politics.
But she'll vote for him.
Yeah, of course. Well,
But apparently her parents would, like, just die if they knew. Are you still there?
Happens, you mean?
Oh, thank you. Whatever. So that's it. And also, she's got a lot of money.
But she thinks he's hot. She said that in the news.
Well, a lot of people do.
Well, he's very attractive. Oh, yeah, I think he's a very attractive guy.
He's strange looking, but okay, here's the other thing I've seen people yapping about Paul Ryan. First of all, everybody says he has this extraordinary physique.
Yes, right.
But they also say his suits are too big for him.
Oh.
And that there's something, somebody said, well, somebody get that guy to go to a
good tailor.
Yeah. That nothing fits right. It's all it's baggy.
Well, don't you remember? I mean, this goes back to the last election.
Not
but
that's important.
When
but
what's
that's
her
what
name?
People are saying.
Well, but don't you remember when what's her name? Palin, that they spent like $400,000 on her wardrobe from Saks or someplace like that.
Well, that's been disputed, but they did send her off with a credit card and said,
because they thought she looked like a truck driver's mall. A truck driver from Wisconsin's mall.
Where'd that time go?
Oh, when we're having fun, it's
it goes. Okay, Tim Collins, founder of the group. I'm just trying to get all these in.
Well,
if
Mr. Zimmerlink is interested. Yeah, he's really a very good artist. Very serious artist.
Here is Luis Jimenez.
That's right. It was Luis Jimenez.
And he was killed in an accident in his studio.
That's right.
New
I forgot
Mexico.
about that. I remember that now.
What happened?
Something probably fell over on him. That's happened to a number of artists. In fact, this is not
if
funny.
you were in Pittsburgh, I'm sorry, in 1990, the Hunky Steelworker exhibited in the Three Rivers Arts Festival that year. The steelworker was big and buff, but that wasn't the kind of hunky Jimenez was channeling. He meant no offense because he thought hunky was a term of admiration and respect used among steelworkers. But Pittsburgh erupted. Press conferences were called. Ethnic outrage was expressed. Letters to the editor were written. I remember having to deal with it. It was a big issue.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, this article. Jimenez's sculpture was just doing its job, sparking dialogue about language, ethnicity, and the proper way to honor steelworkers as it stirred up a big batch of brouhaha. And that's exactly what he's absolutely right. That's exactly what art is supposed to do.
Well, that's what Pat Lowry wrote in the PG.
Oh, I didn't know it was she. No, because that's the whole point about art. And I can't imagine that perhaps some of these snooty people, whether in government or not, who hated it, had not at some point in their lives said, those dirty hunkies, what do they care for? Exactly. But when art, which is supposed to be ennobling and tranquil and beauteous, well, bullshit. It can be, but it can also be transgressive and aggressive and get people off their duffs.
Look how huge it was.
Yeah, it is quite large.
It is huge. Huge sculpture.
Yeah, in this photograph.
I mean, there's a picture of it with a man standing next to it, and the man looks like a little teeny.
Oh, click it. It says if you click the picture.
I did, and nothing happened.
It wouldn't open up. Okay. But I'd never seen an image of it. It's quite grand looking.
Yes, indeed.
And it's in the tradition of things like Colossus of Rhodes from antiquity and, more appropriately, the Statue of Liberty.
Well, but it was the verbiage that did it in.
Right. But don't you remember that one thing, we can end with this, I think I've told the story before, but in a Neil Simon play called Broadway Bound, and it's supposedly his biography. And this little boy, who was played by Matthew Broderick in the original production, is listening to his grandmother, who was played by Linda Lavin, tell about coming from Minsk. And she said, we had to leave, and boats were leaving every day, and you got on a boat, and you never knew whether you were coming to America or Canada, or many were going to South America, to Buenos Aires. And so we went, and the crossing was horrible, and people died on the boat, and babies were born on the boat, and then they announced we were coming into New York Harbor, and we all got up onto the main deck of the ship, and the light was coming in, glistening on the statue, and people were holding up their newborn babies and weeping and crying, Emma Lazarus's poem, give us your hungry and burdened and yearning to be free, I light my light beside the golden door. And I looked at that statue and I said, that's not a Jewish woman. We're going to have trouble here, too. And I've told that story many times because I think it's a great line. She was brilliant at it. I remember seeing it on Broadway. But that notion of how the image, the monumentality, it's a fabulous image when you see it, especially in the morning with sun.
Of course.
But she's saying, hey, that's a goyish woman. And
we're in
the
trouble
same
again.
People, yeah. So the imagery of art, you can monumentalize, but people will look at that bit that touches them the most.
That's right.
So get touched, people.
Well, thank you
Go
so
out and touch someone,
much
but not in the Sandusky sense.
for bringing so much energy to the show. I want to,
Madame, thank you.
Express my gratitude, and I enjoyed this hour.
It was fun, yes.
Yes, we had a good time. And, it's summer, so don't get on me for this, but I'm taking another 4-day weekend.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, so I won't be here tomorrow, and I won't be here Monday.
Slacker.
I like the idea of a 3-day work week.
Well, just one quick thing. They're now trying to mandate. It's already mandated in the Nordic countries.
Oh, yeah.
But mandate 6 weeks because they find that people either don't take the vacation. I was very guilty of this in my last 7-8 years of working, or take a shortened vacation, or go on vacation with hundreds of devices. And you're never away.
Get away. It's
and then
so
you take
stupid.
all that stress, and they're saying you must. And in France, they pay you to take 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I think we should, because we need to calm down.
Yeah, and disengage.
Exactly.
Well, so you come back, and there's 700 million emails, because I also did not check my email, and I'm still catching up and apologizing to people left and right. I'm so sorry. I've been out of touch, which doesn't sound good anymore, because you don't have to be
out of touch.
You can't. I was on vacation, so
I think many people will just say, I will be in a place where I can have intermittent connection to the internet.
Whatever.
So screw you.
Yeah, I'm just and I do. I'm going to be out of touch for 4 more days.
Good for you.
And then I'll be back in touch, and hope you'll join me
to the Harpy Hour.
Yes. The Harpy Hour?
Sure, we were talking about last time with Shrew.
Oh, Shrew Harridan. Yeah. Scold.
I love that.
Public scold. All right, we're done. We're done. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.